I have to say that I was humbled when Bob asked me to present this award. Humbled is not a word that normally comes up when we're talking about me, but it was in this case. Yeah, you're all applauding because you know. Bob has been a very dear friend for a long time, and it meant a great deal to me to be asked to give this award to Bob. We didn't, although we've been very close friends for quite a long time, it didn't start out all that well. I met him at the Edgar. He was nominated for his first book, The Monkey's Raincoat. And a couple of months before, I had read it and just laughed myself silly. I thought this was one of the best books, both funny, good mystery, beautifully written, everything about it. I love this book. And so when we were called in after the cocktails to come sit down at the dinner, the man in front of me happened to be Bob Crais. Robert Crais was on his name tag, and I stopped him and I said, I just have to tell you, I loved your book. And he said, really? Mysterious Press rejected it. I will say that I had one of the greatest editors of all time in the mystery world, Sarah Ann Freed, who remains a warm spot in my heart to this day. But when I talked to her about it later, she said, it's just another private eye book. If she were here now, I'd slap her again. I didn't bring all the accolades from Facebook, but I did bring the list from Twitter. And I actually just remember them. Great, fantastic, wonderful, superb, marvelous, and that's Bob. Bob, congratulations for the Grand Master Award.
I'll be the one that drops it. That he introduced me and agreed to introduce me makes it all better. It really does, because I love Otto, and one of the great things about our little world, as most of you already know, isn't that we share this interest in crime fiction, but it's the family that grows up around it. This community we have is wonderful. And since I entered it, I think the closest friends in my life have come from among you all, and Mr. Penzler is one of them. Man, you would probably be happier if I stood up here and did shtick, because I'd have you in stitches, you'd be laughing your asses off, and everyone would go home and say, he's really funny. But you're going to have to bear with. No one gets to stand here or gets this alone. There are an awful lot of people who contribute, and I feel not only obligated to thank them, but I deeply do appreciate their contributions and want to thank them. They go back a ways. The first, and it has to be said, thank you, Ray, thank you, Dash, thank you, Ross, thank you, Sarah, thank you, Sue, thank you, Agatha, thank you, Mr. Robert B. Parker. I could go on, but they were all there and all terribly influential. When Dan Hale and Charlene Harris called, and they didn't have my phone number. Dan ended up, he's trying to reach me for weeks and days, and he could, because I live in the Fortress of Solitude, and he finally had to reach me through friends, and they said, Dan Hale wants you. Here's his phone number. You must call right away. And oh, geez, the days dragged out, and I didn't call. I thought he was going to ask me to be on the board. And so I'm expending my creative energy coming up with, well, here are the reasons why I can't serve on the board. So I finally call, and they tell me. And after I realized this wasn't just a nasty joke on their part, I was floored. I cannot really express to you how gratified this is. So I thank you, Charlene, Dan, and the 2013 board for selecting this honor for me. I truly do feel honored. I'm still blown away by it. So I have to thank some people along the way who led to this moment. You know, way back in the beginning, there was a bookstore called Scene of the Crime Bookstore, run by a woman named Ruth Winfelt. A few of you here may remember that store. She was in Sherman Oaks, California. She was my neighborhood store. My wife, Pat, put us into considerable debt buying as many mysteries as she could because, like me, Pat reads this stuff. And it was really the re-immersion of a concentration of the mystery world at Ruth Winfelt's store that got me to thinking while I was doing my TV thing. I mean, I saw that. For Christ's sakes, I look like a Trivial Pursuit question for 80s television. It just, but going to Ruth's store was like finding a new home, and it had always been in the back of my head to do this. And I have to thank Ruth for that. Thank you, Agatha. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, PD. Thank you, Margaret. I have to thank an agent, my television agent at the time, Norman Curlin. Norman could have been the typical Hollywood agent. Here he had a young writer-producer with an ascending career who was doing some pretty cool things and had a big future in TV and maybe a big payday for that agent. And one day when I decided that I had enough of that and I wanted to devote my life to books, and I went to Norman, rather than sandbag me into contract jobs and all kinds of things like that, Norman Curlin said to me, let's figure out how I can help to make that happen. Thank you, Norman. So I wrote this book, and I've been talking to a couple of people since I was here in the last couple of days, and one of the topics, including my own publishers and several people in the publishing business, we're talking about the difference between, and Carol and I were talking about it too the other day, the difference in getting into the business, becoming, for newer writers, when we began, and versus now. And it is radically different, and I'm going to comment on that in a second. But I have to thank Kate Misiak. Wherever you are in here, Kate, I know you're here somewhere. Thank you. When everybody in my life back in California, with the exception of Pat Crais, thought I was kind of loony and crazy to want to stop what I was doing and devote myself to writing crime novels, I went through, a lot of rejections and things because I had chosen to write the wrong thing at the time. Meaning I chose to write about a private eye in Los Angeles. And the response uniformly came back. Been there, done that, no one cares, we're moving on to other things now in publishing and in the mystery community, and no one wants anything to do with it. And it piled up rejection after rejection. Otto told his great story about only one of those rejections. And then the manuscript landed on Kate Misiak's desk. And she fell in love with it and bought it. I'll tell you, Kate, I don't remember if I've ever told you this before. When I wrote The Monkey's Raincoat, it was never my intention. Wasn't even thinking in these terms. I just wanted to write a manuscript that would sell. But it was not my intention to write a series. And it was Kate Misiak who said to me, well, I don't want to buy just one. There has to be more Elvis Cole novels. So thank you, Kate. That book is I don't know, in its 347th printing or something, and it's doing well by all of us, so thank you. back in those days, there wasn't all the good stuff that happens to me now for a lot of reasons, and the marketing and publishing was different. Independent mystery booksellers and readers and fans and the people who went to those independent mystery booksellers made my career, built it book by book. People like Gail Larson, Ruth Winfelt, David Thompson. David, I miss you. Mr. Penzler, Otto, my good friend, I love you. Tom and Enid Shantz, Richard Katz, like Anne Agatha's. These are the people who made my career, and I thank them all. I remember them all, and I miss the ones who are gone. I've been able, it's been my blessing to work with some really good people along the way, terrific publishers, terrific editors. And at a certain point in my career, I joined forces with my present literary agent, Aaron Priest. I was lucky he took me at that time. But I guess he saw something in the work and did. So we partnered up, and he was legendary, still is. But I knew I had the right guy for the job when I met, I love Steve Rubin. Steve was my publisher when he was at Doubleday. And the first time I met him socially, and Steve liked my work, and he said, you know what Aaron's middle name is? I said, no, what? Fucking. I said, what are you talking about, Steve? What do you mean his middle name's fucking? He said, every time I find a writer like you, I want to publish you, I say, who's your agent? And they always say, and if they say Aaron Priest, I think to myself, Aaron fucking Priest. And I know any agent who could inspire that kind of reaction from Steve Rubin had to be the guy I wanted. And he was. And I want to thank Aaron because not only is Aaron my agent, a long time ago, somewhere along the way, Aaron became much more than my agent. He is my friend and I love him. And he's done enormous things for me to get my career to where it is now. Currently, I'm with the world's greatest publishers. They're sitting down here. Ivan Hell, Neil Nyren. Kate Stark, she couldn't be here. She came up, cooked up some lame excuse. Michael Barson, Alexis Welby. Thank you all for what you do for me. It is a family and a team effort. It's terrific. I'm going to leave because I know everybody wants to go. I'm talking too long already. I know, thank you. But not yet, so I don't get excited. To the younger writers who I spoke with briefly along the way, I'm going to, and everyone who's worried about it being more difficult now, I'm going to tell you it's always difficult, and that doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Writers write. It may be more difficult, I don't know, because my difficulty was, whatever it was, 1987. It's different now. But writers write, and I'm going to, actually there's a Stephen King quote I really like. When Stephen King won the National Book Award and he was given an acceptance speech, he said, I've never written one word for money. Now, I believe that 100%. I don't know what those people in the audience believed it, but I know when that man said it, he was telling absolutely 100% the truth. You write because you have to write. We are storytellers, and it'll all find its way out. All that other stuff, the business stuff, it actually will just work itself out. Just tell your stories. Believe in yourself. Storytellers are special. It's what we all do and what we all share. And thank you for this and for letting me be a part of it. Thank you very much.